The version of you that flinches, snaps, and needs everyone to see how hard you're working. That version is already losing. You know the feeling. Someone questions you in a meeting and your face gives you away before your mouth does. Someone cancels on you and you spend the whole night rehearsing what you should have said. You call this being human. It is not being human. It is being readable, and readable people get used. Here is the belief we are killing right now. Toughness is not loud. It is not the man who slams the door, raises his voice, or posts the gym selfie at 5 a.m. so someone will notice the suffering. That is not strength. That is a performance for an audience, and performances need applause to survive. Real toughness needs nothing. It does not perform. It does not explain itself. It does not even announce that it exists. Seneca wrote it 2,000 years before anyone had a phone to perform on. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most of what leaks out of you, the panic in a meeting, the flinch at a text message, the 3 a.m. spiral, is not the real threat. It is the imagined one, worn on your face for anyone to read. The world only gets what you decide to show it. Most people show everything. You are going to learn to stop the leak. Over the next 4 phases, you are going to rebuild the operating system underneath your reactions. Phase 1 is the mask, not a lie, but control over what the world is allowed to see. Phase 2 is the cold room, the discomfort you choose on purpose. So the discomfort life forces on you later feels familiar instead of catastrophic. Phase 3 is the long fuse, the half-second of silence between a provocation and your response, and why that half-second is worth more than anything you could say in anger. Phase 4 is the identity that does not need anyone's permission to feel solid. Fair warning, most people who start this video will not finish it, because somewhere in the next 20 minutes, you are going to recognize yourself as the soft one in a story you thought you were the hero of. Stay anyway. There is one discipline, the mentally unbreakable practice that looks, from the outside, like weakness, and almost nobody does it on purpose. We are going to get to it. You are not ready for it yet. Phase 1, the mask. You have been taught that hiding your feelings is dishonest. Forget that. Concealment is not dishonesty. It is control. Every time you let your face broadcast your panic, your irritation, your insecurity, you have handed a weapon to whoever is standing in front of you. They now know exactly where to press. The wolf does not announce when it is hungry. The sheep announces everything. Its fear when the grass rustles, its panic when the herd runs, its whole interior life projected for any predator paying attention. You have been living like the sheep and calling it authenticity. Watch the man who takes brutal feedback in a boardroom. His boss lists everything wrong with the project in front of the team without softening a word. The room waits for him to defend himself, to flush red, to argue. He does none of it. He nods once. He says, "Understood. I'll fix it." Then he sits back down, and 3 months later, he is the only one still on the team. Nobody remembers what was said to him. Everyone remembers that he did not break. This is not suppression. Suppression is stuffing the feeling down and letting it rot into resentment. Concealment is different. You feel the full weight of the moment, completely, and you simply decide the room does not get to see it. You process it later, alone, on your own schedule, not live, not in front of witnesses. The feeling is real. The audience is denied. Here's what the broke in composure, broke in nerve, never see. The calm face is not the absence of a storm. It is a door closed on one. Practice this the next time someone insults you, cuts you off, or humiliates you in front of others. Feel it, let it land, and show them nothing. Not coldness, not a smirk, just stillness. Stillness is the most expensive thing you own, and you have been giving it away for free. This is not about being fake. This is not about pretending nothing hurts. This is about deciding who gets access to your interior life. And the answer, from now on, is almost no one. Phase 2. The cold room. Every soldier who has ever survived something the rest of us could not, trained somewhere nobody was watching. Not in the battle, in the cold, in the dark, in the repetition nobody claps for. He did not become unbreakable in the moment that tested him. He became unbreakable in the 1,000 ordinary moments before it, when he chose discomfort on purpose, so that when discomfort came looking for him, it found a familiar face instead of a stranger. You do not get to choose when life applies pressure. You do get to choose whether your nervous system has ever felt pressure before that day arrives. This is the entire secret, and it is almost insultingly simple. Seek out small, controlled discomfort on your own terms, on a schedule, without an audience, until your baseline for what counts as hard moves. The cold shower nobody sees. The workout in the dead of winter when the bed is warm and no one would know if you skipped it. The conversation you have been avoiding, had today instead of next month. None of these make headlines. All of them are deposits into the same account, and that account is the only thing standing between you and collapse the day something real goes wrong. Here's the part they never teach you. Comfort is not a reward for hard work. Comfort is a debt collector in disguise. Every time you take the easy version, the easy conversation, the easy workout, the easy excuse, you are not resting. You are borrowing resilience from your future self, and future you will be the one standing in the cold when the bill comes due, with nothing saved. This is not about punishment. This is not about hating your own comfort. This is not about proving something to people who are not paying attention to you anyway. This is about making your baseline high enough that the things which destroy other people are, for you, simply Tuesday. Marcus Aurelius kept a version of this same discipline 2,000 years ago, reminding himself each morning that the day ahead would contain rude people, frustration, and things outside his control. Not so he could dread the day, but so none of it would catch him unprepared. You were doing the same thing with a cold shower and a hard conversation instead of a scroll. The method is old. It still works, because the nervous system has not changed. Only the excuses have gotten more sophisticated. Watch the coworker who has been there 20 years. Nothing about his week has ever asked more of him than his week asked of him 10 years ago. He never sought the cold room. He optimized for comfortable every single day, 1,000 small times. And now he flinches at feedback, flinches at change, flinches at a new manager with new expectations. He is not weak because he had one bad day. He is weak because he never had a hard one on purpose. Stay with me, because this next part is where most people quietly decide this video does not apply to them. It applies to you. The cold room is not optional if you want to be the person who does not break when it matters. You build the tolerance in private. Or you discover you have none in public, in front of everyone, at the worst possible time. Phase 3. The long fuse. Epictetus said it bluntly enough that it still stings today. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Read that again. Every time someone provokes a reaction out of you on command, you have just handed them the leash. There is a half second between the moment someone provokes you and the moment you respond. Most people do not know this half second exists. They live as if the insult and the reaction are the same event. One motion, no gap. Someone says something cutting, and the words are already out of their mouth before the sentence across the table has even finished landing. That gap is not empty. That gap is where all your power lives, and you have never once used it. Here's how the game actually works. The person trying to provoke you is not testing your argument. They are testing your reaction time. They want to see if they can make the decision for you, decide your face, your volume, your next 10 minutes with one sentence. Every time you respond instantly, you confirm that they can. Every time you let the half second stretch into 1 full second, then 3, then 5, you take the decision back. Silence, held a beat too long for comfort, unsettles people more than any comeback ever could. Nobody has a script for a man who simply does not flinch on cue. Watch the negotiation where one side needs the deal and the other does not. The one who needs it fills every silence, talks fast, over-explains, sweetens the offer before anyone asked for a sweetener. The one who does not need it says almost nothing, and the silence does the negotiating for him. This is not a coincidence. Detachment from the outcome is the single most underpriced asset in any room you will ever walk into. The man who needs the applause loses leverage the second he needs it. The man who could take it or leave it owns the room without raising his voice. This is not about being cold to people you love. This is not about never reacting to anything, ever, like a man performing a personality he read about once. This is about choosing your reaction on purpose, instead of renting it out to the first person who pushes a button. Practice the fuse this week. Someone cuts you off in traffic? Count to 3 before you feel anything about it. Someone criticizes your work in front of others? Let the full sentence land. Wait. Then respond once, calmly, and stop talking. You will notice something uncomfortable almost immediately. Without the instant reaction, you have nothing to hide behind. The silence exposes whether you actually have something to say, or whether you were only ever reacting because reacting felt like control. Most people quit right before this gets easy, because for the first week, the silence feels like losing. It is not losing. It is the exact moment you start winning quietly enough that nobody notices you have already won. Phase 4. The untouchable identity. Everything up to this point has been technique, the mask, the cold room, the fuse. Technique without an identity underneath it is just a costume you take off the moment you're tired. Phase 4 is the foundation the other 3 sit on. A sense of yourself that does not require anyone's permission, agreement, or applause to stay intact. Most people build their identity out of borrowed materials, a job title, a follower count, a room full of people nodding along. This works fine, right up until the job disappears, the followers move on, or the room disagrees. Then the identity built on borrowed material collapses because it was never actually yours. It was rented, and the rent came due. A wise prince, Machiavelli wrote, relies on what is in his own control. Translate that into your own life. Build your sense of self out of things nobody can repossess. Your discipline, your word, your composure, your standards. Nobody can fire you from those. Nobody can unfollow your character. Silence becomes a different kind of tool here. Not the silence of the fuse, held for a few seconds in a single conversation. A longer silence. A refusal to explain yourself, justify your choices, or campaign for anyone's understanding in real time. The man who needs everyone to get it, right now, today, has handed his peace of mind to a jury of people who were never qualified to judge him in the first place. The man who does not need it simply proceeds. Explanation is optional. Understanding arrives later, if it arrives at all, and by then, it does not matter, because the results already spoke first. This is not arrogance. This is not refusing to ever be wrong. This is not cutting yourself off from everyone who loves you. This is refusing to outsource your sense of self-worth to an audience that changes its mind by the hour. There is a room every one of us eventually stands in. A hospital corridor, a funeral home, the quiet after a phone call nobody wanted to receive. And here is the strange thing nobody tells you about that room. Nobody in it is thinking about your job title. Nobody is thinking about the follow account, the car, the watch, the version of you that needed the room to see how hard you were working. What people remember in the room that actually matters is whether you were steady when it counted, whether you were the one who could hold the weight without dropping it on everyone else. That memory is the only inheritance that never depreciates. Now, you are ready for the move I promised you at the start. The discipline that looks, from the outside, like weakness. It is this. Sometimes the strongest move available to you is to not respond at all. Not silence as a weapon, not the fuse, not a strategic pause before a comeback. An actual, permanent decision to let a battle go unanswered, because winning it would cost you more than losing it ever could. The untrained eye sees a man who let an insult slide, a man who did not defend himself, a man who looks, for a moment, like he lost. The trained eye sees a man who understood that not every fight is worth the resources it takes to win, and who has enough control over his own ego to walk away from a battle everyone else would have taken the bait on. The broke version of a man fights every battle because his identity needs the win. The built version of a man fights the battles that matter and lets the rest starve for an audience they will not get. This is the whole shape of what you have built across the last 4 phases. The mask, so the world does not get your interior life for free. The cold room, so pressure feels familiar instead of catastrophic. The fuse, so your reactions belong to you and not to whoever provoked you. The untouchable identity, so none of it depends on a verdict from people who are never qualified to deliver one. And underneath all of it, the willingness, when it actually matters, to let something go rather than prove something to a room that will forget the argument by next week and only remember that you were the one who stayed calm. The version of you that needed everyone to see the struggle has to die today. Not the ambition, the performance, the checking, the explaining, the flinching, the need for the room to confirm you're doing okay. That version served you once. It does not get to come with you into whatever you are about to build next. There is a price for this, and nobody hands you a discount. You will lose some people who only knew how to relate to you through your reactions. The ones who liked you anxious, liked you defending yourself, liked you needing them. Let them go. You will spend more time alone with decisions than you are used to, Because the untouchable identity does not take a vote. And you will have to keep choosing the cold room on days when nobody would notice if you skipped it for the rest of your life. Because the moment you stop, the baseline starts sliding back down. There is a harder version of everything you just heard. Quieter, less comfortable to say out loud. The kind of discipline that does not make for a clean video because it involves things people do not like admitting about themselves. That is for another time. You are not ready for it yet. But you are further along than you were 20 minutes ago. And that is not nothing. If you are done handing your face away for free to anyone who wants to see how to press you, comment, "The mask stays on," as a private contract, not a performance. I do not care if you write it. I will not be reading it. The built version of you stays quiet. The broke version is still looking for approval. Choose which one leaves this video.